If you're an author or plan to be one, get excited because this podcast is for you. Book Marketing Mentors is the only podcast dedicated to helping you successfully market and sell your book. If you're ready for empowering conversations with successful marketing mavens, then grab a coffee or tea and listen in to your host, international best-selling author Susan Friedman.
Before I introduce you to today's guest expert, I have some exciting news to share. At long last, the Book Marketing Mentors Premium membership is a reality. This is a brand new membership site that's going to give you even more tips, techniques, and insider secrets from the experts. When you become a premium member, you're going to enjoy even more valuable ways to use your book to make money and thrive as a trusted expert authority in your field. As a premium subscriber, you'll get exclusive access to even more of my book and author marketing proven strategies, tools, ideas, and tips to help you market and sell more books. You'll get monthly exclusive deep dive discussions with some of the best guests I interview on the Book Marketing Mentors podcast. And then finally, how would you like me to interview you? Every month, I'll feature an interview with a nonfiction author, and you've got an opportunity to be chosen as one of those guests. Check the show notes for a link and join the Book Marketing Mentors Premium membership today so that you can also take advantage of the special introductory price. Now, let's get on with the show so that you can meet this week's guest expert and mentor. Welcome to Book Marketing Mentors, the weekly podcast where you learn proven strategies, tools, ideas, and tips from the masters. Every week, I introduce you to a marketing master who will share their expertise to help you market and sell more books. Today, my special guest is the TikTok coach. Samantha Vlascanu is on a mission to convince businesses and brands that TikTok is not just for our teenagers. She's an entrepreneur at heart and spent the last 10 years as an operational consultant. She specializes in working with mamapreneurs who are looking to make more by working smarter, not harder. And there's no dancing required. Samantha, what an absolute pleasure it is to welcome you to the show. And thank you for being this week's guest expert and mentor.
Thanks, Susan, so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
And I'm going to call you Sam because you gave me permission to do that. So, Sam, I know I've talked a little bit about TikTok with some guests, but I've never spent a whole podcast talking about it. So I'm excited to do that because, as I mentioned to you earlier, I really know very little about this platform. Let's talk TikTok. Let's start off by understanding exactly what's the purpose of TikTok as a social media platform.
100%. So I think TikTok has this negative stigma around it where everyone assumes it's just for kids, it's just for dancing, it's just for silliness. But it's evolved so much in the last 18 months, Susan, that it's a huge opportunity for businesses to jump on. And it's a great way to convey your message in a short form video at the end of the day. What I love about TikTok is that it's all about video. And we all know video converts about 80% higher than reading a static post, seeing an article or a blog post about it. And it's because people like photos, people share videos at the end of the day.
What makes it so popular? Why are people so excited about it?
The algorithm side is actually very, very different than any other social media platform. What I mean by that is you have Instagram, you have LinkedIn, you have Facebook. They're all based on a network driven, meaning your content is getting sent out to the same 20 to 30% of your followers who always engage with your content. So that's great. You have your friends, your family, other entrepreneurs you interact with who are great to see your post and hype you up. But on TikTok side, it's a great lead generation tool because your content or the video that you post is actually going out to more individuals who don't know who you are and aren't following at the moment than actually are. So you're reaching a huge entire new audience potential new readers, potential new partnerships organically without paying a dime.
And how does that happen? I mean, what are they doing? If I go on today or tomorrow, how's that going to work? I mean, I've got no relationships at the moment on TikTok.
Yeah.
So,
when you first get started on TikTok, what happens is you're going to get a video right off the bat, but you don't actually know who Susan is yet until you spend a little time absorbing the content, seeing which content really resonates with you. For example, Susan, what are you into? What's your interest?
aside from working,
Aside from working.
I love yoga. I love swimming. I love watching foreign movies.
Perfect.
Yeah, those are some of my hobbies.
If you start seeing certain videos where they're doing yoga poses or teaching you about the health benefits of yoga, chances are, Susan, you're going to stay and watch the entire video to learn more or engage or share that video yourself. The more times you do that, TikTok's algorithm will really hone in on what Susan wants to watch, and they'll send you other content that's relatable to your interests as well. That's a beauty where I say your content now gets sent out to the individuals who enjoy your types of content. So if you like sharing non-fictional books or the process of writing a book, or just you being a thought leader to educate your audience on the specific topics that you write about, it's a huge opportunity to get on TikTok right now.
I start talking about nonfiction books,
Mm-hmm.
people writing them, where to start, or more importantly, which is what the side that I'm, involved in, and that is the publishing side. And then what an author would do once they actually have the book or getting ready to market the book. What would that look like?
On that front, what you would want to do is you want to show up on TikTok and start talking about certain sections within your book that you write about. You want to prime your audience on reasons why this book is needed in their life. So let's take a book, for example, about psychology. You can talk about sections that you write about the book and explain why certain personality traits are more affected by X than Y, for example. I'm making all this up right now. I'm not a psychology major. Or you can talk about and why you pique your audience interest using TikTok, because you're only showcasing your films in short forms. They're anywhere between 15, 30 seconds up to 3 minutes long, short videos. Then if you want to entice your audience to, if you want to learn more about this specific topic that we just talked about, check out my link in bio. This is where you can purchase the books. You start funneling in your audience to get on a wait list to when the book is ready to be launched, or when it's ready on Amazon or ready in this bookstore for them to be notified. So we want to use TikTok as a lead generation tool where you get their email and be able to market to them continuously off of TikTok.
Let's go down that route, because I know, for instance, you can't put in links necessarily in Facebook, or I don't know about LinkedIn, and correct me if I'm incorrect here, but you've got to be careful about the promotional side on these sites. How does this differ?
You would have your own personal link that you can put in on your profile. Similar to Instagram, where you have a link in your bio, you can do the same thing with TikTok. So this link is anywhere you want to send your audience. So whether it's a landing page for a wait list to be notified when the book's ready, if you want them to be signed up to be part of your Facebook group, it's anywhere where you want to send your audience to take action.
So I've got a new lead magnet, for instance, 3 false beliefs and how every author can avoid them.
Yeah.
I would put the link in TikTok.
Yep. What I suggest for most people is to create a mock version of a link tree option. So the link tree is where you can put multiple links to give your audience 3 or 4 options of where to send them. So for example, for me, I created a mock link tree where it sends them to either to book a call with me, to download my freebie, to join my next workshop, to check out my Instagram feed, wherever I want them to send them. You want to create a mock version on your own domain because it helps with the ranking on Google. If people are clicking your link a lot, your ranking also bumps up on Google searches as well. And you own the analytics at the end of the day when it's on your own website.
Interesting. You've got the opportunity to put several links in there, you're saying, depending on what they may be interested in doing. Would you then you're putting out your little video, You would just mention one, I'm assuming.
In your videos, what you can now do is when you have that one set link, then that link, it can then direct them to where they want to go. So if you, for example, in your video, you want to do different call to actions, you can do so with just using that one link on your profile.
Okay, so that's a whole different other thing, setting that up. I don't want to get too lost in this process. Who's primarily on TikTok? I mean, you say, it's a good lead generator. Here I am. I'm higher up there in almost the fourth quarter of my life here, well into the third quarter, going into the fourth quarter. And then you've got a lot of, I'm assuming, teenagers. You go after the mamapreneurs. I mean, this age disparity, how would that be of benefit for me or be of benefit to the people on the platform?
That's a great question, Susan. Okay, I'm ready to get your socks blown off. I'm going to tell you some stats, and they're going to surprise you, I think. TikTok's been downloaded over 3 billion times. And of those downloads, you have over 900 million active users on any given week. Okay. It took Instagram more than 6 years to get to those active user counts. It took TikTok less than 4. Of those active user counts, you have over 400 million active users over the age of 30, spending 82 minutes a day on TikTok. Over the age of 30 is our ideal target audience for most of us. They are the audience that have the disposable income to spend on our books, on our services, on our products. And most importantly, this type of individuals or this demographic group, they're spending a lot of time on TikTok and absorbing other people's content. So you have to jump the line and get in front of them with your books that you're publishing on TikTok.
It's fascinating. I'm just like, my mind is going crazy with this. It's funny because I was just on a call. I have a mastermind group that I work with, and I mentioned that I was going to be interviewing you. And the gentleman who's well into his 50s, and he said, "Oh my goodness, my wife is all over TikTok." And I'm like, "Oh my goodness." I mentioned your workshop, which I know you're going to tell us about in a little bit. And he said, "Oh, send me that link. Send me that link. I'm sure she's going to love to attend that." I'm like, oh my goodness. And here I am thinking, like many people, in an era that TikTok is only for teeny boppers.
Yeah, I hear you. That's the misconception of what TikTok is. And yes, it did start off for teenagers. It did start off with dancing. But Susan, so did Facebook. So did Instagram. Look where those two giants are right now. I would have jumped on Instagram back in 2009 if I knew where it was going to go by 2021. But it was also targeted just for kids back then.
What got you involved in TikTok?
Oh, Susan, that's an interesting story. So what happened with me, I actually had a different business 2 years ago. I had a travel business. And guess what happened? COVID came around. I was like, nope, you're not operating. So when I shut down, I felt like the only entrepreneur at the moment that couldn't pivot through any of this. I felt like I did not know where to turn to. I did not know what to do. I turned to TikTok as a way to distract myself from the bad. I actually found the good of what TikTok does, but I realized businesses weren't using it to its advantage. I tested it out for myself, marketed my old business on TikTok. And that's when I realized not only do you grow so fast on a platform on an organic route, but I was getting booked with PR opportunities and getting featured in radio, magazine, TV, getting orders coming in. And that's when I knew I had to help businesses do the exact same thing before it's oversaturated.
Talk to us more about that. You say you got PR opportunities, speaking opportunities. By whom? Who is looking at this and what are they looking for?
It's more for some social proof side of things. So yes, they reached out to me first on most of them. So like Blog TO is an example, Global News Radio. And you kind of use it as a way of, if people are talking about you, you kind of use it to your leverage. Like this gives you proof that A, you are a thought leader. You're giving your audience enough value for them to be interested in, and you want to share your 2 cents as well.
So I know that you're going to give our premium members some more insight and some more insider secrets for on TikTok and what you share with your clients. But give us a little taste of what do you share with your clients in terms of, and I'm assuming these are businesses that
Yes.
you're working with, as to how they can use TikTok to their advantage.
What you want to do is every single video, think of it as like a full movie within 30 seconds. So what I mean by that is you want to have a great hook in your video. So you want to hook in your audience, making sure that they stay on the video if it resonates with them. Like you can share a question, a pain point that your audience is going through and answer it through the video format. You can share a surprising fact that would surprise most of your viewers on TikTok. And they can go into it, explain why that happens. So for example, if you're writing a business book on how to get started as a business entrepreneur, you can start off your hook by saying 80% of businesses fail by year 2. Why? And that kind of really starts priming them and priming your audience to be like, I got to learn more from this individual on TikTok. And you want to do a call to action. So whether your call to action is a small one, like follow for more or learn for part 2, or you can do a big one where you get them to get off of TikTok into your landing page, into your wait list, into your Facebook group, wherever you want to get them to join. You have a hook, you have the meat, which is the content itself, and then you have the call to action you want them to take.
Okay. And all within 30 seconds to 3 minutes, you said.
Yes.
That's the sort of time period that you've got to do this.
Yep.
Now, when you do this, how much of this do you map out beforehand?
I love working smarter, not harder. So I actually batch a lot of my content as much as I can. So I batch all the topics I'm going to do. Then I batch my script. So I know exactly what I'm saying for each video. And then I batch create the content itself. So what I do is I normally block off 2 to 3 hours on, say, a Monday at 9 to 12. And I create 6 to 12 videos, which is then my content for the next 2 weeks. And I'm done. And I don't have to be on TikTok for so long. So I try to be as efficient as possible and batch all my tasks together.
So you're appearing, what, twice a week? Did I get that correctly?
I'm on TikTok probably about max 5 hours every 2 weeks. And then I'm done posting by then.
So when you say 5 hours in 2 weeks, but that 5 hours is split up into 3-minute segments? Or help me understand that better.
Yeah, that 5 hours includes any research that I do on TikTok, any posting that I do, any engagement I do on TikTok. So all that is around 5 hours every 2 weeks.
Oh, okay. So it's not you necessarily appearing, but it's you looking at other posts. And then if somebody is responding to you, are you responding to them personally? I mean, messaging them as you do it on other platforms? How does that work?
Oh, for sure. I mean, if someone spent the time to engage with your content, spend a little time to engage back, right? It's their time as well. You want to build a loyal community. You can't just be one of those people that posts and goes and expect, oh, well, I'm too good to engage back with my community. No, you want to build that community up because at the end of the day, your TikTok followers are then now potential prospect clients.
Yeah, it sounds as if they are. Wow. Let's talk about mistakes. I know that our listeners love learning about mistakes, and I'm sure that there are many that you can make here. What are some of the common ones, Sam?
Some of the common ones I've seen the business make on TikTok is if they produce content, it's not linked to what they sell or do. I think that's the biggest one. I feel that some people just go for viral content. And the problem is everyone always wants their videos to go viral. But if you don't have a strategy in place of what you want to do with all that virality, then it doesn't really do much for you, if that makes sense. Like at the end of the day, followers don't pay for the bills. They don't pay for your mortgage. They don't pay for the lights. Clients do, or readers do, or people who purchase your books do. And so you have to make sure you have a right strategy in place for when your videos do go viral, you know where you're sending your audience. The next thing I would say, the biggest mistake is not knowing the difference between producing free content and paid content. Your free content should be focused around the who, the what, the why. And your paid content, which is at the end of the day, your book that you want audience to purchase the book itself, is the how. Okay. So what I mean by that is You want to prime your audience to really think, see where your book will help me in my life or in my business or wherever I want to grow in or my mindset. And by priming your audience on the who, the what, the why, really make sure that your audience can see how your book will fit in that gap and solve my problem at the end of the day.
Okay. So you're not actually physically selling, though, on TikTok. Is that correct?
Use as a lead generation tool. So again, it's more of you get in front of your audience, you get them to thinking about you get them to move the value off of TikTok into somewhere else where at the end of the day, you get their email, and that's how you can get to getting them to a client.
Okay. And so let's go back to getting started on this. Talk us through. I want to get started, let's say. I mean, you convince me that this is a platform that I should investigate. What would my first step be?
The first step I want you to do, I want you to absorb content, honestly. That's the easiest thing I want you to do. And the reason why is because I want you to see how other people are doing their videos on TikTok. If there was a video that really sparked your interest, start writing it down. What do you think their hook was? What do you think captivated you into watching the entire video? And if there are videos that wasn't very good, but they're in your industry, write that down as well. Write down ideas of what you would have done differently to make it more engaging or interesting for your viewers. Once you're ready to start making your videos on TikTok, I'm going to say keep it simple. Keep it simple where you're just talking straight to the camera, and start with your top 10 FAQs you get asked by your audience all the time. So for example, if you're in history, you're a history writer, 10 biggest questions that everyone always asks you that you can always answer in your TikTok videos now.
So would you, let's say, do all 10 at the same time, or would you do 3 today and 3 another day?
I would split those 10 FAQ questions you get asked into 10 mini videos.
Okay.
So each video is like a 30-second video.
Mm-hmm. And then what?
And then you post. Make sure you add some text around it so that because about 60 to 70% of viewers on TikTok are also watching videos on no volume. So it's always great to make sure that you always add text context to your videos so that if they are interested, they'll turn up the volume to listen to what you have to say as well.
Okay, so that text would be like a summary that basically condenses everything that you're saying in that video in what, a couple of sentences or one sentence?
Like I would use a text feature as more of either as a closed caption option if people just want to read what you're trying to say instead of turning up the volume, or as a way to paraphrase what you're saying and showcase the key points you want your audience to remember.
Okay. And does TikTok have that capability of doing the captioning for you, or is that something that you add? How does that work?
Yeah. So TikTok's very intuitive. You can add the closed caption option. You can add text where you want them to go. It's very intuitive. It's scarier than it actually is, I will say.
All these things actually are until you get into them. Yes. I mean, just even the idea of it at the moment. I mean, I'm just like, okay, I'm sweating a little and yes, what's it going to mean? So yes, when you're new at something, it does take a while, to learn how to ride the bicycle.
Absolutely. Getting on camera is not a skill you know automatically. It's something you have to practice on, right? And getting in front of a camera and talking to like thousands or millions of people, that sounds really scary, but it does take practice and there is a learning curve, but it gets much easier once you get used to it.
And I've said this before when I've talked to people about video, it's like, yes, I can stand up and do a presentation in front of thousands of people, but when I'm looking at that little screen, that camera, that lens is like, oh, just something else happens. I don't know what.
The red blinking light, for sure. It's a little deer in headlights, right? Moment.
Yes. Now, are people concerned about the quality? How particular does one need to be here?
So that's a really good question, Susan. So because of TikTok is so short form, and because people are watching, say they're watching 100 or 200 videos in one sitting, and your video happens to be in that batch of videos that they're watching, you do want to consider the quality of the film that you're doing. So my best answer for this is to use your back camera instead of using your selfie camera so you don't see yourself. So use the back camera. Is usually a higher quality as well. And make sure that you just have good lighting. So when you're filming your TikTok videos, make sure it's filmed during the daytime. If you can film in front of natural light, so if you can film in front of a window, that's great. Or if you can use a ring light makes everything much easier to see. And the reason behind that, why quality matters so much on TikTok, is because you only have about 2 to 3 seconds to hook in your audience for them to decide whether or not to stay on your video. And by having poor quality, that's making my job a lot easier to be like, nope, I'm going to scroll past this video.
I just can't imagine sitting down and watching 100 videos. I mean, just the thought of that makes my head spin. But there are people who are doing this, obviously.
Yeah, it's very addicting, Susan. I will say, if you have too much work going on, don't download TikTok. You're going to lose a lot of time watching a lot of entertaining and educational videos. So,
well, and it's funny you should say that, because one of my guests, Esty Rand, who talked to mention TikTok and how she's excited about it and how it's working for her. And I went on to her page to have a look at what she's doing, thinking, oh, maybe I can do what she's doing. But she's dancing around and she's walking around her house. And I'm like, I don't see myself doing that. I've got to be still and focused on what I'm doing. So it would be a very different approach.
I think what your guest was talking about, like, that's who her brand is.
Mm-hmm.
Keep in mind, you want to always be you because nobody else can. If you don't want to walk around or do these fancy transitions, you don't have to. Most of my clients are literally just talking straight to the camera as if they're doing a Zoom call. But they make it a little bit more interesting, obviously, with adding a great hook, with a great question at the beginning. Keep it simple. Don't worry about all those fancy editing or dancing or pointing. Just keep it simple and just talk straight to the camera.
Yeah, so there isn't an expectation that I'm there to necessarily entertain, so to speak.
No, not necessarily at all. I mean, my clients, they don't dance. They're all in the professional service field and in a product-based business. They don't dance.
That's too funny. And you say no dancing required, which is, I think that's an important point, because again, there's this visual of you seeing people, doing these dances or singing or doing something crazy. And I'm like, that's not what I'm about. So, yes, with your hand holding, I'm definitely going to look into this. So, Sam, I know you've got this exciting workshop coming up, I think November 17th. Talk to us about that, because many of our listeners, if they're interested in TikTok and they want to use it as a lead generation tool, should definitely be there. So tell us more.
Oh, this workshop is an intensive workshop. It's going to be November 17th, and there's going to be 2 session times. So you can choose the 9:30 session or the evening time. It's going to be 2.5 hours long, live with me. And we're going to make sure that you understand the entire strategy of TikTok and how to get started on TikTok, what kind of content to produce, how to do those videos itself, and making sure that you funnel your audience into the correct spaces and having the right conversion systems in place. It's an intense workshop, but you'll leave with a clarity and understanding of how to use TikTok for your business.
I love it. And how can people find out about that?
Yeah, I mean, if you guys want to just check out my Instagram at the TikTok Coach and just take a look at the link in bio, you can take a look straight at the workshop.
Fabulous. And I will put that link in the show notes. So if people are doing yoga or doing something else, running on the treadmill or mowing the lawn or driving the kids somewhere, that they can get that when they look at the show notes. Fabulous. Sam, if you were to leave our listeners with a golden nugget, what would that be?
Oh, this is my favorite saying for my business, for anyone's business, really. It's work on MVP method. So MVP stands for minimal viable product. And that can be applied to any part of your business or in the writing side or getting your book launched or even TikTok. The idea here is I don't want you to aim for perfection, just aim for done. Whether your book or your video for TikTok is only at 50% of what you expect, just keep going. And keep going and just launch, because you want to make sure that you don't spend too much time and money on something without validating it first. Launch, even if it's not done, and test the demand out first.
I love that idea. Yes. And interestingly enough, that's exactly how I started the podcast. I know that my coach at the time was John Lee Dumas, who many people have used. And he just said, make 6, 10 and have them in the can and just go with it.
Yep.
Don't aim for perfection. And I'm a bit of a perfectionist. And I was like, if I don't go with it, even if it wasn't perfect. And now I look back and I listen to some of them and it's like, oh, and I cringe. However, 5 years later, this is a whole different podcast to what it was, when I first started. And I'm sure that same approach would happen with TikTok as well.
Trust me, Susan, my videos in the beginning were so cringeworthy. I'm like, oh my God, I did those videos. And I'm like, I have to keep them up because I have to show my clients, I keep my old videos up. You guys all have to do the same thing. It's going to be cringeworthy, but you have to learn. You can't learn unless you do.
Yes. I mean, you're learning on the job, sort of, so to speak. But I love the idea of cringeworthy. Yes, I love that word. Well, Sam, thank you so much for sharing your wisdom. And I know that we're going to jump into the premium membership site in a moment. And you're going to give us some more insider TikTok secrets there for our premium members. So I look forward to that. And in the meantime, thank you all for taking time out of your precious day to listen to this interview. And I sincerely hope that it sparks some ideas you can use to sell more books. Here's wishing you much book and author marketing success.
The time is now to take action and finally build your book-selling empire. And the great news is that Susan is here to help you. Visit bookmarketingmentors.com and sign up for a free 15-minute book marketing strategy session with Susan. She'll help you discover your first steps to marketing and selling your book. Only those who take action are rewarded, so visit bookmarketingmentors.com, and we'll see you again next week.